Hello guys, thank you for tuning into my channel. This is Azrael, and in this video I'm going to be debunking some straight up bullocks on myths being propagated by um, people who think they are awake about, especially on the pineal gland. Now they'll say stay woke, stay awake, and ironically most of the people who talk about this subject and they propagate these myths, they actually show that most of the people who claim that they are awake are actually the most sleepiest motherfuckers you'll ever meet. So here I go. One, there are people who do not believe in the pineal gland or chakras, and I'm going to tell you it doesn't matter if they do or don't. There are people that do believe that they're real, and let me tell you, it does not matter if they are real or not. It doesn't matter, and because it's the way of thinking. First of all, there is no actual Saki organ other than your brain that produces your consciousness that the seat of the soul resides in. Okay, everything else is nominal. You have a consciousness. Your consciousness is a part of your whole brain. Okay, that is the seat of the soul. Your consciousness, who you are. All right, not one part of the brain, the whole brain. Okay. Matter of fact, there's been people who have had to have, because they've had severe seizures, literally have to have their brain separated, cut down the middle. And what's interesting is that both of these new hemispheres gain their own personality. There's actually been a documented case where one part of the brain, the right side of the brain, was an atheist, and the other side of the brain identified as a theist and different sex. All right. So anyway, consciousness. Your brain produces the consciousness. One of the first things that I've got to get off my chest is this calcification of the pineal gland. They'll tell you that your diet calcifies your pineal gland, and you have to do cleanses and do all this kind of crap from being a stay away from fluoride, which could be a good idea just in general. However, fluoride does help give stronger teeth, but too much fluoride actually does cause health problems. Okay, so there is some circumstantial evidence from a form of inductive reasoning that this could be true. However, when they claim that it's calcified, they'll show pictures of like an MRI, a brain scan where the pineal gland is lit up. And they say this is calcification from fluoride. Wrong. What actually is there that shows up on that MRI is usually, first of all, these are found usually when the person has died, and they are looking for in an autopsy what's going on with the brain or the body. This tumor, which is usually a tumor, this big old rock that people think is the calcification of the pineal gland, is actually a cyst that is growing on the pineal gland. The person lived just fine. They died from other reasons, but a lot of these scans and these things that you see in these YouTube videos where there has this little glow, it's actually a cyst, not a calcification. So this is misleading right out the fucking door. The reason why it could be a possibility is because the pineal gland exists right underneath the BBB border or the blood-brain border. Okay, see, blood that goes into the brain goes through a kind of like a filter, a second filter before it gets to the brain, because your body wants that blood to be as pure as possible when it gets into the brain. The pineal gland is not a part of that. It's actually connected to the blood system, so it's connected directly. It does not have a separate filter to filter the blood before it gets to it. All right, so there's a possibility that what you eat does have a problem or drink when they point at fluoride, because fluoride has a problem and has been known to make people sick. But I'm sorry, if you're actually sick, no amount of meditation is going to decalcify that. You could try to do those things by like taking turmeric or other forms of apple cider vinegar, whatever. If that, I mean, which has been proven to have health benefits, but that's not connected to the pineal gland either. But they make this leap, okay, and they try to claim this is what science has proven, but science actually does not fucking believe that it is the seat of the soul or have any psychic phenomenon whatsoever. So they're still conflating. But here's the thing. It does help It does help psychically, but I'm going to tell you why, but not for the reason why you think or what you've been taught. But let me debunk the second part. Is this veganism crap? A lot of people say in order to open your third eye, you have to be a vegan. You can't eat animal products. This is complete bullshit. And I have two lines of evidence that prove. One, uh, people have lived for thousands of years, 13,000 years in the past. We know, we know that as long as there's been humans eating meat, those same people have had their third eye opened. Uh, the same people, the same priests in a lot of these old religions that both ate animals and killed them for their gods, to sacrifice them to their gods. Guess what? They had no problem having out of body experiences, seeing spirits, or anything. So, eating animal meat in this regard has absolutely nothing to do with opening your pineal gland. Second, the same argument is because you need to live more in tune with nature. Well, guess what? Nature is just as what would be considered cruel or evil as it is beautiful and pure. The same cry of a baby kitten that calls for its mother will call for the predator to eat it. Okay, nature is far more fucking cruel than you want to admit. And being in tune with nature means being accepting that cruel side that you don't like, which unfortunately you are a fucking animal. My dogs over here are fucking animals. They live more in tune with nature than I do, and they eat meat. They are carnivore. Okay, you are a fucking animal, more intelligent, that tries to say it's not an animal, which is very ironic. Is that a lot of the people who push this idea, like live more with nature, but they try not to be a part of nature. They say they live with nature, they surround themselves with nature, but they try not to be what nature created them as through evolution. Which, by the way, you are an omnivore. I am not. I am not less spiritually evolved than a vegan simply because my pet dog eats the same food I do, just on different plates. Sorry. An animal is also known to be completely spiritual, more spiritually pure than a human, and it lives more in tune with nature and thus fucking eats meat. So eating meat, you being an animal, you're just being a part of nature. It might not be a part of nature that you like, just like parasites and death, but that does not mean that parasites and death are inherently evil. So, what you're actually doing is you're taking your personal belief, taking a spiritual concept, and creating your own pseudo truth, which you now are propagating as a spiritual truth to push your agenda. Just like the Catholics did when they started killing cats and snakes, because snakes are evil because of the Garden of Eden, and cats are witches' familiars, so let's kill them and get rid of them. You are creating your own spiritual dogma and teaching it to people who are very thirsty for knowledge, and because it feels good to hear, they don't question it. So, but sorry, eating meat does not mean that you cannot open your third eye. I've been a meat eater. I see spirits all the time. My third eye is woke. It's just fine, just fine. Anyways, so those are some of the two things that really piss me off that people keep on propagating about the third eye. Now, here's the thing: science, its official stance is that the pineal gland has nothing to do with psychic phenomenon. That is, I'm sorry, or if you disbelieve me, go to a place of scientific learning and try to teach that or try to tell people that, you will be left out. This is a totally spiritual concept. The pineal gland, now here's why it doesn't matter if it does or doesn't. Because your perception of reality is where your third eye actually awakens, not a clump of skin, not a fucking organ. It is solely based on your perception. If you have certain fears or certain doubts, like you're scared to see a spirit or a demon or a dead person, or scared to hear voices, you're gonna right there. Your third eye will be pretty much closed in certain situations because you don't want to be open to those experiences. It's simple. All right. So opening your third eye has more to do with meditation and inward reflection, uh, and dealing with your fears than fucking meditating and eating spinach and avoiding tap water. Sorry, it just does. The third eye opens because, again, not a clump of skin or an organ, but your own spirituality, if it's ready to receive this information. That's it. Okay, now here's where it can help, where it probably does help physically. The pineal gland is part of the endocrine system. Basically, it produces a hormone, which helps other things produce hormones. The third eye produces melatonin, which is used by the pituitary gland to make growth hormones and sex hormones. So your third eye is kind of indirectly / directly responsible with puberty and your sexuality, because the pituitary gland needs the melatonin from the third eye, the pineal gland, to change it into a new hormone. So it kind of starts there. Now, melatonin, its first and primary thing is to help keep our circadian rhythm in balance, which basically means our sleep cycles. And this is where it works. Okay, for example, when people try to leave the body in the natural body, they go through meditation. Some of the easiest ways to do this is right before sleep or slightly after you've wakened from sleep. So a good circadian rhythm with the melatonin does in fact help our meditative and sleep cycle / altered states of mind. That's where it kind of stops, really, but that's how it helps. Okay, now if why doesn't it matter if it does have a direct link to the spiritual instead of just a way to keep our brain in a meditative / sleeping state where a lot of spiritual communication actually happens in these altered states that melatonin helps? Well, it is just like the heart. We know for a fact that heart, in and of its core, just pumps blood. Yet it is symbolic of the seat of our emotions. When you see that person you had a crush on and your heart speeds up, or when you get scared and your heart jumps or skips a beat, or you hear something sad and your heart feels like it just slows down and breaks. Well, first of all, that's why there's that connection. First of all, it's a psychological and emotional connection that has a physical response to. So you have a physical response to the spirit, not a physical response for the spirit. Let's get that clear. The spirit is your mind that wears a meat sack. You have physical representations and manifestations because the spirit or the state of mind changes. All right. That's where it starts. Now you can stub your toe and it's in pain, and then your consciousness acknowledges that pain and says, hey, ouch. So there's some influence both going, but in the end, it's not completely tied together. Matter of fact, when you die, pineal gland or not, your spirit, your eyes are going to be open anyway because you're forced to accept that reality. So the opening of the third eye is actually more to do with psychological phenomenon with mixing it with a religious experience. And when you concentrate on, let's say, in a love spell, you might use a heart as a symbol for love because our brains have made that connection. Therefore, you don't really need you have a physical representation of love, and you could use that in a ritual to bring love, like attracts like. You're using what you want, a symbol of what you want to gain what you want, like attracts like. That's how that works. Okay. The so when you're wanting to do something like that, and you're doing these opening your third eye meditations, and you're focusing on your third eye, which, by the way, I will teach that in another video. What you're usually actually doing is that you're using the pineal gland as a physical representation of your third eye, even though it is purely metaphysical. Okay, it's okay to focus on the third eye or the pineal gland if you believe that it is your third eye or not. It's just symbolic. And at this point, which forces your consciousness to focus on that symbol and start self-hypnotizing yourself to open up your spirituality. So that's how that helps, directly or indirectly, physically or non-physical. But don't fall into this dogma that in order to open your third eye, you got to eat this, You gotta detox that. Now, being healthy overall, if you could be healthy being a vegan, if you could be healthy eating meat, if you could be healthy by putting down that extra bag of chips, that's fine. Your physical health will help you live longer and help you have more energy to focus in your spiritual training. But you could be handicapped, paralyzed from the neck down, dying in a hospital, and it will have no regard if your third eye is opened or not. You can open up your third eye at any time by shifting your consciousness, not necessarily in a higher plane, which is another thing that they always argue about, is that it's a higher vibration. No, you're just more aware of it. It's kind of like um, when you're going about your day, you don't always feel something that's inside your shirt, the tag on your shirt tickling your back. It's not until you take notice that you have a tag back there that should be tickling you, and then you start feeling it. All right, that's basically how spirituality works, is that you're so incorporated in TV or other things that are not spiritual, it takes away from your spiritual development. That's the only real truth. Meditation, knowing yourself, that's the only way to change your reality, or your perceived. If you want to open up your third eye, you can focus on that third eye, which is going to tell your subconscious. You could have your eyes closed. I tell you in another video how to open your third eye, but or practice. That's another thing. Instant. There is no such thing as instant eye opening. It's been opening. Your consciousness has been getting open and wider to the possibility until it's wide enough to where it happens. There is no instant third eye activation. Just isn't. All right. You're just meditating to tap into what you are already capable of. So, thank you for watching.